You ever wake up and something feels wrong? The bed's the same, the walls, the ceiling, unchanged. But the silence is too perfect, and for a second, you're not sure you're you anymore. Eli Brandt just needed money. A simple sleep study, they said. But every time he closes his eyes, he wakes up in someone else's nightmare. He's forgetting who he is, losing pieces of himself, and somewhere in the dark, a child is still screaming for him to come back. Would you leave them behind? Part 1. The Sleep That Paid. My name is Eli Brandt. I'm 31 years old. I play guitar in a bar that used to be a church and sleep in a studio apartment that smells like mold and dead dreams. I hadn't had a good night's rest in over 6 months. Every time I closed my eyes, it was like my body forgot how to shut down. My brain just kept humming. I took the sleep study out of desperation. Not because I was curious or hopeful, just tired. Somna Research Institute looked like it had been scrubbed out of reality. A grey box of a building on the edge of the industrial district. No signs, no windows, just a glass door that opened before I touched it. Inside, it was wrong, sterile, silent, too clean. The kind of clean that doesn't feel safe. There were no clocks, no ticking, no passing of time. Just white walls, white floors, white noise. A woman in a charcoal suit led me down a corridor lined with mirrored panels. I saw myself reflected over and over, thin, sleep-starved, eyes red-rimmed like I'd been crying for years. She said her name was Dr. Calder. She never smiled. She handed me a clipboard and I signed without reading it. That's the kind of tired I was. She called it REM reconnection therapy, said the study would enhance my dreams, help regulate memory and rest cycles. There might be mild side effects, dream bleed, she said. I didn't ask what that meant. I should have. They took me to a room. White walls, steel bed, a ceiling with a soft blue glow like it was trying too hard to be calming. There were no windows. Dr. Calder injected something into my arm. Cold, metallic. She said it would gently assist the descent. Then she turned off the lights, and I fell. Not asleep, down. It felt like gravity had been reversed and folded in on itself. Like my soul slipped sideways and forgot where my body was. Then the dream started. A burning house. It was night. The flames were silent. No crackling, no roar. Just orange tongues licking at the walls like they were hungry. I stood in front of it, barefoot, staring. The front door creaked open by itself. I walked in. The wallpaper peeled in long strips, blackened and curling at the edges. Smoke slithered across the ceiling like it had weight. And then I heard it, crying. A child. I followed the sound. Through the hallway, past photographs on the wall. Blurry faces, but one of them looked like me. At the end of the hall, there was a cupboard. Small, wooden, old. The crying was coming from inside. I reached for the handle. My hand passed through the door. The wood was soft like meat. Inside, I saw a girl, maybe 5. Eyes wide, cheeks smeared with soot. She didn't speak, just stared at me like she knew me. And then something moved behind her. Something tall, masked. I couldn't make out its shape, but it watched me, motionless. I tried to scream, but my mouth filled with smoke, and I woke up, gasping. The room was bright again, same white walls, same ceiling. But my hand, it was black. Ash clung to my fingers like I'd clawed my way out of a fire. My nails were grey and cracked. I stumbled to the mirror in the corner. My reflection looked off. My eyes weren't the right shape. Or maybe it was the angle. Or maybe it wasn't me at all. Then I saw the bandage. A clean, white patch on my arm, just above the injection site. I peeled it back. 5 punctures. Tiny, like bite marks. I went back to the front desk, but no one was there. The halls were empty. Lights buzzed low overhead, and every mirrored panel I passed showed me with a different expression. One afraid, one smiling, one crying. I ran. I found the exit unlocked. No one stopped me. Back home, everything looked the same, but it didn't feel like mine. My guitar strings had been restrung in reverse. My fridge was stocked with food I don't eat. My phone had no missed calls, but the wallpaper had changed. It was a photo of a little girl. The same girl from the cupboard. I never took that picture. Opened my journal to try and calm down. Maybe write. Maybe remember something that made sense. But tucked between the pages was a drawing. Crayon on cheap paper. A child's drawing. It showed a man with a long face, black eyes, standing in a house engulfed in red and orange flames, and written in shaky letters at the bottom, "Don't let him out." The man looked like me. Exactly like me. Part 2. I dream of burning things. I told myself it was just a dream, that I was stressed, overtired, that the ash under my nails and the bandage on my arm were some strange side effect. Maybe I sleepwalked. Maybe I hurt myself without noticing. Maybe. But the smell stayed. It clung to my sheets, to my clothes, to the back of my throat. That sour, electric stench of charred wood and wet ash. Every time I blinked, I saw smoke curling in the corners of the room, thin wisps that vanished when I looked straight at them. And the crying. I started hearing it again. Not loud, not constant, just there, at the edge of things, under the hum of the refrigerator, beneath the sound of traffic outside, a child sobbing. I didn't leave the apartment that day. I didn't play guitar, didn't eat. Just sat on the couch, staring at the wall like maybe it would blink first. At 7:13 p.m., my phone buzzed. A reminder I don't remember setting. Somna. Session 2. Tonight. Attendance mandatory. I should have ignored it. Should have blocked the number, deleted the message, moved to a new city. Instead, I got in the car. The building looked the same. Too clean, too quiet, like it was pretending to be harmless. Inside, everything shimmered under the fluorescent lights. The mirrors watched me more than I watched myself. No one greeted me. I just walked in, and the door to the sleep room opened like it knew I was coming. The bed was made, fresh sheets, same cold blue glow on the ceiling. But now, on the pillow, there was a small card. No name, no message, just a single word. Descend. I lay down. The moment my head touched the pillow, the world dropped. This time, the dream was colder. I was standing in a hallway, long, narrow, the walls pressed close. The wallpaper was old, water-stained, and pulsing slightly, like it had a heartbeat. There was a hole in the wall, circular, just big enough for one eye. I leaned in. On the other side was a room drenched in red light. A woman stood in the center, arms bound behind her back, face streaked with blood and tears. She was screaming, but I couldn't hear it. Just saw her mouth open and close, over and over like a broken recording. She was looking right at me. Then something moved behind her, a figure in the shadows. Tall. Head cocked sideways like it didn't understand how necks worked. It stepped forward slowly, deliberately. I tried to call out, but I had no mouth. I pounded the wall. Nothing moved. The woman didn't blink. She just kept screaming, and then her eyes widened. She whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but I could feel it. Maeve. That name. It hit like a chord strummed deep in my chest. Like I'd heard it before, but buried it under 10 years of silence. Then the wall cracked beneath my hands. Something burst through from the other side, and I woke up. But I wasn't in the Somna bed. I was on the floor of my apartment, naked, soaked in sweat. The smell of smoke was gone, but now there was something worse. Something sharp, I looked down. My arm, the one with the punctures, it was stitched. Rough, uneven stitches, like someone had sewn up meat with fishing line. My skin bulged around the black thread, red and hot to the touch. I stumbled to my phone. Needed to call someone. Anyone. But the screen was already on. Voice memos. One new, recording. Time stamped 3:19 a.m. I pressed play. A voice, mine, whispering like it was afraid of being heard. Don't let them put you back in. I don't remember saying it. I don't remember recording it. But I believe it. And I think I've already been back in too many times. Part 3. The rooms that shouldn't exist. I didn't sleep the next night. Not by accident. I taped my eyelids open. Sat in the bathtub with the shower running cold and the lights on. Every time my eyes started to close, I slapped myself, awake, because I knew if I went under again, I wouldn't come back as me. But when the sun came up, it wasn't relief I felt. It was dread. I couldn't run anymore. I had to know what they were doing to me. I went back to Somna. No invitation, no appointment, just rage. The building didn't try to stop me. The door opened on its own, like always, but this time, no one came to greet me. No receptionist, no Dr. Calder. Just those gleaming white halls, humming with fluorescent lights, and that never-ending reflection of myself in the mirrored walls. Only this time, my reflection lagged. I turned my head, and it turned just a second too late. I kept walking. I passed the usual hallway, the one that led to the sleep rooms. But there, just past the corner, was a red emergency exit sign I'd never noticed before. The door beneath it was slightly ajar. I slipped inside. It should have led outside. It didn't. Instead, I found a long hallway, narrow, silent, and wrong. The floor buzzed beneath my feet like it was alive. No signs, no lights. Only that faint metallic humming, like something deep underground was spinning too fast. I walked. The hallway curved left, then right, then straightened out again. And then it opened, into a room, freezing cold. Breath cloud cold. The walls were concrete and damp. Machines lined both sides, pods like medical coffins, each lit with a dim blue light. There were wires snaking from the ceilings into each one, twitching slightly, like they were breathing. I stepped closer. Inside the first pod was a man, old, pale, mouth open like he'd been mid-scream when they froze him. His eyes moved, just a flicker, back and forth, trapped in a dream. The next pod held a woman. Tears streaked down her cheeks in perfect, unmoving lines. She didn't blink. Pod after pod, face after face. Then I saw one with the glass fogged from the inside. My heart dropped. I wiped it clean, and I saw me. My face, same jaw, same scar on my chin from the bike crash when I was 12. But the skin was grey, veined, peeling around the lips. The eyes were open, but they weren't mine. Black, hollow, empty as caves. I backed away. That's when I noticed the number on the side of the pod. Eli Brandt, cycle 1212. 12 cycles of this. 12 versions. How many of me had there been? I turned to run, but the hallway wasn't behind me anymore. Only more pods, all identical, and every fifth or sixth one was me. Some bloated, some burned, one still twitching. I spun, searching for the door, for any way out. But no matter where I turned, I came back to that same pod, the one with me in it, the one with the hollow eyes. I screamed, hit the wall, hit myself, tried to wake up because I had to be dreaming, and then everything cracked. I collapsed, fell inward. The next thing I knew, I was in a cupboard, small, dark, my knees drawn to my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The wood pressed in from all sides. I wasn't Eli anymore. I was the child, the one I'd seen burning in my first dream, and I could hear footsteps, heavy, slow, drawing closer. A sliver of light appeared, the cupboard door creaking open just a fraction. Outside stood something tall, masked. Its eyes glowed like dying stars. I tried to scream, but the moment I opened my mouth, the dream snapped, and I woke, back in my apartment, soaked in sweat. But my hands were caked in dirt, under the nails, in the cracks of my knuckles, like I'd clawed through the earth. And then I felt breath behind my ear, close, and a whisper said, "You were someone else again." Part 4. Echoes of the Rot. Time started slipping sideways. It began small. I'd look up from my coffee and realize the sun had moved across the sky. Or I'd go to check the time, and my phone would say it was Tuesday, when I knew it was still Monday. But it got worse. I'd walk into a room and forget how I got there. Open drawers full of clothes I didn't recognize. There was a toothbrush in my bathroom I never bought. Pink and blue, clearly used. Once I found a lasagna in my oven, cooked, warm, missing one slice. I hadn't eaten lasagna since I was 13, and people, strangers on the street, started greeting me. "Hey Trevor. Good to see you again, Nolan. Still driving for Metrolift, Mark." Each name felt like a wrong note in a song I used to know. I stopped answering the phone. Too many voicemails from people I didn't remember, telling me they were worried, that I'd been acting strange, that I hadn't come home. But the worst was my photo gallery. It started filling itself, pictures I hadn't taken. A family, a wife I'd never seen before. Auburn hair, soft eyes, laughing beside a little boy missing his front teeth. At first, I thought I'd been hacked, that someone was uploading their life to my cloud, until I saw the boy's bedroom. It was the one from my dream, the same blue dinosaur wallpaper, the same cracked lamp with the soccer ball base. I don't remember taking the picture, but I do remember standing in that room while the walls burned. I couldn't keep ignoring it anymore. So, I went back to Somna. I demanded to see Dr. Calder. They told me she wasn't available. I told them I'd wait. I waited 4 hours. I would have waited 4 days. Eventually, she appeared. Same slate grey suit. Same unreadable face. I asked her what was happening to me. Why I was losing time. Why I was seeing lives that weren't mine. She tilted her head like she was examining a cracked vase, and then she said, "We don't study dreams, Mr. Brandt. We map them. And some identities don't like to stay in their lanes." I asked what that meant. She didn't answer, just handed me a small white envelope and walked away. Inside the envelope was a key, numbered 243. There was no room. 243. Not in the hallways I'd seen. I didn't sleep that night because I didn't have to. I blacked out around 2 a.m. in my living room, sitting upright, eyes open, and I fell again. This time, I was strapped to a table, cold metal against my spine. The smell of disinfectant and something sour, like rot in a hospital. There were lights above me, blinding white, and a face, smiling. My face, but wrong. Lips too wide, teeth too perfect, eyes full of glee. He picked up a scalpel and began to hum. He didn't put me under. He wanted me to feel it. I screamed. He giggled. He called me version 6. As if I was just another try, I felt him peel skin from my arms like wet cloth. I felt him break my ribs one by one, but I couldn't wake up. My body stayed frozen, helpless, while he talked to himself in riddles and poetry and statistics. And just when the pain became too much, when my vision went black, I woke up, screaming, but not in my apartment, not on my couch, was lying on a bed I didn't recognize. The sheets were soft, scented. A woman's voice called from the kitchen. "Jude, you okay?" I looked down. My hands were darker. A small tattoo curled across my wrist I'd never gotten. I ran to the mirror. Yes, face looking back wasn't mine. Brown eyes, curly hair, a scar along the chin that didn't belong to me. I opened the phone on the nightstand. Different lock screen, different apps, a dozen missed calls, from names I didn't know. Or maybe I did. Maybe I used to be them. Maybe I still am. Part 5. Who wears the skin? The man in the mirror was smiling. I wasn't. I kept staring, waiting for the expression to match, for my reflection to blink when I blinked, to breathe when I breathed. But he didn't. He just watched me, head tilted, grin stretched thin across a face that was once mine, if it ever was. They call me Jonas now, Jonas Price, a freelance graphic designer with a dog named Bixby and a missing persons flyer from 12 months ago. 12 months. That's how long he's been gone. They say I look just like him. Same height, same walk, same voice. The neighbor even hugged me when she saw me, said, "We were so worried, Jonas. You just vanished." I played along. What else could I do? I don't know who I am anymore. Some mornings, I wake up with Eli's memories, playing guitar in the garage, the warmth of a girl I think I loved once, coffee in a chipped yellow mug. Other mornings, I remember a dog, a wedding, a voice that sings off key in the shower and calls me babe. Sometimes I remember being neither, just cold, watched, floating in the dark with a hum all around me and wires inside my spine. I started digging again, through Jonas's files, emails, bank statements, and that's when I found it. Confirmation he'd been in a sleep trial. Somna, but a different branch. A smaller site, shut down after an incident. The file didn't say what kind, but I know now. Somna isn't researching dreams, they're harvesting them. Each pod is a trapdoor into another self, another version. And when we sleep, when we let go, we don't just dream, we become. Personas, identities, whatever you want to call them. They move, they migrate, they rot. I found a drawer in the apartment, stuffed with journals, handwritten, pages covered in looping script, always starting with Jonas and ending in scribbles and blood. He knew, he tried to fight it, but he lost, and now it's happening to me. My skin's going soft in places, peeling like damp wallpaper. My reflection flickers, shows someone else. A child, a woman, a burnt figure crawling across a hallway. My fingernails keep growing back too fast, too sharp. My voice glitches when I speak, sometimes deeper, sometimes not even human. I can't take it anymore. I went back to the main Somna facility, not to ask questions this time, to end it. It was quiet when I entered, like the building was holding its breath. I used the keycard I stole from Jonas's jacket. It worked on every door. No alarms, no guards, just humming. That deep, wet hum I hear in my dreams. I found the control room. Banks of monitors showing, sleeping faces, hundreds of them. Some crying, some smiling, some bleeding from the eyes. The system's interface was worse than I imagined. A catalogue of names and numbers. Eli Brandt, Cycle 19, J. Price, Cycle 14, M. Adelaide, Retired B. Gleason. Corrupted, you could scroll through them like songs on a playlist. Tap one, and the screen would show footage, dreams playing out in real time. And some of them, some weren't dreams. They were places, rooms I'd seen, fires I'd run from, faces I'd worn. The personas aren't just ideas, they're things, entities, and some of them refused to be deleted. I pulled every breaker I could find. Sparks, screams from the machines, glass cracked, the pods hissed. I grabbed a fire axe from the wall and started swinging. One by one, I smashed them open. Some were empty, some weren't. One spilled out a figure that looked like a stitched together Eli, Jonas, and half a dozen others, all fused. into a single twitching mass. It whispered in 3 voices at once. "Thank you." I reached the final pod, raised the axe, and then I saw them, reflected in the glass. Dozens of me, lined up behind me, some smiling, some crying, some rotted, one missing its face entirely. They didn't move, just watched. And as I swung the axe one last time, they all tilted their heads at the exact same angle, like they were waiting for something, or recognizing something. Me, the original, maybe, or just the next one in line. Part 6. The one who woke up. There's a place beyond sleep, beyond the skin, beyond the name. It smells like wet wood and old metal. It sounds like 1,000 voices whispering in a language no mouth was meant to speak. And it looks like an ocean, not made of water, but of memory, endless, black, viscous. I was floating in it, naked, numb, no pain, no body, no name, just drift. Then the sea stirred. Something massive moved beneath. It rose, a shape made of pieces, a face, a hand, an eye stitched to a torso that kept changing, children's limbs dangling from a man's waist, a woman's face where a heart should be, and at its center, me, or a version of me, twisted, grinning, crowned in wires and bone. It called itself rot. It didn't speak with words, but I understood it, like I'd known it forever. It said, "You have drifted long enough. You broke the machine. You are free to choose." It offered me a trade. Give up the last of Eli, whatever that meant now. And in return, I could wake up. No more loops, no more dreams. A clean slate. Become someone new, it promised. Someone happy, someone whole. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to forget. But then I heard it. A knock. 3 knocks. Soft. From inside the cupboard, a child's sob, muffled, and I remembered. I left someone behind, a boy, trapped, in a room on fire. He was me once. I refused. I screamed my name, Eli Brandt, over and over, louder and louder, until the dream began to crack. Rot shrieked. Its patchwork flesh bubbled. It reached out with 1,000 hands. But I was already burning, not in pain, in defiance. I became the fire. I let myself ignite. Everything I'd ever been. Eli, Jonas, the dreamer, the child. I burned it all, and the ocean boiled. The sky split, and then silence. I opened my eyes, sunlight on my face, wind in my hair, the sound of traffic. I was standing on a street corner. Not my city, not my clothes, but everything felt normal. Pedestrians passed. A dog barked in the distance. A woman waved. She smiled and walked up to me like she'd known me her whole life, kissed me on the cheek, said, "Morning, love," and I smiled back, because I wanted to. We walked, hand in hand. I should have been happy, but there was a weight, a shift in the air behind me, like something was following. I turned. My shadow was gone. Just pavement. No silhouette. No proof I was even there. Then, the creak of a cupboard door. So soft. I nearly missed it. And a whisper. A child's voice. "You left me behind." And I knew, no matter where I went, no matter who I became, the rot still remembered. So I kept walking, through the sunlight, through the lie, pretending the warmth was real, but behind my smile I was already burning again. If you think Eli's nightmare was over, think again. In this world, sleep doesn't bring rest. It brings something else. If you made it this far, you're one of us now. So don't stop here. There's more horror waiting just beneath the next video. Click it. If you're not afraid of what you'll find. And if this story left a mark, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to Haunted Echoes. We tell the stories that whisper to you long after the screen goes dark. Sleep tight, if you still can.